Psalm 23.
Welcome to the Carr and Seguin Show, hosted by Devon Carr and Paul Seguin, where two Michiganders dive into real estate, outdoors, community building, and everything in between. Welcome to, what are we, episode 93? Yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
Getting close.
Halfway to 186. We're getting close to the big 100.
Who would have thought?
Dude. We keep showing up.
Right.
And that's all you got to do.
Right.
Is keep showing up.
Just that simple.
It is. It's half the battle.
Right.
Right? For anything. Just show up. Not a lot of people can just show up. When times get tough,
They struggle.
they struggle.
They struggle when times are good.
Yeah.
It's the mentality of today.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, something better came along.
Exactly. So, how we doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yes. Yes. I know we have a couple that I still have to post here. Totally forgot about that driving in here. We'll get caught up. We'll get caught up. Sorry to keep you all hanging.
Right.
For our regulars out there. I hear from time to time. We still got them. We still got them. Yeah, no, this is the first time, though, that we are in the studio on the new year. So
Right.
it's been, 2022 has been a crazy ride. It's been definitely a whirlwind of market fluctuation,
Right.
inflation,
Sicknesses.
sickness. Yeah, dude, freaking A. We just got ripped through that.
Right.
Freaking during Christmas break. It was funny, Jess and I, we just planned, we're going to have a Christmas dinner Friday night.
Okay.
Because
Because you didn't have one?
No. We were about to
Right.
have one, and then we left. Because our son was looking like a zombie in the chair with Grandpa. And, yeah, we will say right now, I don't know if Sarah and Joe listens to this or not, but they did get sick. I think a couple days later, Lauren and Catherine did get the fever, and then I think Sarah got it, but I think it was all short-lived, especially for Sarah. I know she went and got what is it called, the Terramaflu, whatever that.
Special drug is?
Yeah. If you're like in that certain window,
Uh-huh.
you can get the Terramaflu, and it just like is a wonder drug.
Okay.
Because it was for her. I mean, I think that was literally the words out of Sarah's mouth. That is a wonder drug.
Okay.
No, it just sucked. It did. I blame it on Savannah School. I'll say it. Freaking keeping the kids in the school leading right up to Friday before, well, you got lucky, actually, because it was that snowstorm that ripped through on that Friday before Christmas, and they all had snow days. Anyways, it was literally right then. We knew it the whole time. Like, they're going to go back to school, because the week prior of the week leading up to Christmas, they shut the school down for 2 days because so many kids were sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Wednesday, Thursday, the school was closed. They had a school Friday. We didn't send her, as nobody did either.
Right.
And it's like, why are we closing down for just 2 days and then coming back for 1 day?
Right.
Just close it for Friday. Let's just be smarter, y'all. That's like the whole Governor Whitmer 2-week thing, right? It's like, yeah, well, that was dumb. Anyways, no. So then, yeah, it was leading up to the week before Christmas. We just knew it. You just know when your kid's about to be sick. You're like, you're not acting normal,
right? And
you're cranky and you're tired. Great, here it comes.
Yeah.
2 days before Christmas. And it's like, freaking A. Because we knew it was going to happen. So, yeah, that's why we're having Christmas dinner on Friday.
That'd be nice.
Because we got robbed.
Right.
robbed.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I want a good, like, the typical Christmas dinner.
Hearty meal that you feel like,
Ham.
after.
Right? Do you have ham during Christmas? Isn't that the typical Christmas dinner? Ham?
Yeah, I mean, there's ham, cheesy potatoes.
Oh, you got to have cheesy
Yep.
potatoes.
Was it sweet potato?
Mm-hmm. Cheesy potatoes, sweet potatoes. Jess makes this amazing sweet
Green
potatoes.
beans.
This nice, like, caramelized brown sugar topping. Oh, dude.
It's like candy.
Yeah, it is. It honestly is. It's delicious. Yeah. Should try to make her. There's this Jell-O pretzel dish that her mom makes. It's freaking amazing. And then there's also another dish that she now pretty much makes for like all of our gatherings with the family. They call it the orange salad.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nothing like a salad, and it's not a salad, but it's our way of calling it something healthy because it's not healthy, but it's really good. You're making that orange salad, right?
Right.
Oh, yes. Good. Because I'm going to have many helpings of that.
So you got that for Friday, too?
We got that for Friday.
There you go.
Yeah. Play the makeup, Play a little makeup game on the Christmas dinner.
Right.
So
Why not?
yeah,
And there was a lot of people sick. I know we had a bunch of people in our family that had to cancel the day before,
it's
the day of.
all over. I mean, it seemed like everybody
Yeah.
was getting sick. It was going around hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Definitely through the month of, or at least it was like the last 2 weeks of December. It seemed like it just.
People were sick left.
Oh yeah, which should be good then, right? Means
Right.
should be all good. Hopefully for the whole rest of the winter.
I hope so.
Yeah, all of our immune systems are beefed up.
Right.
We're tough. Let's go. Let's go. I mean, shoot, today it was almost 60 degrees.
I know.
Nasty, foggy, wet, gross kind of day. The sun popped out for a hot minute there, which was kind of nice, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be 35.
I know. Just
2.
we go from 54, 55 today to 35
That's
tomorrow.
crazy.
20. I mean, and then there you go, 20-degree drop. Like, oh, well, everyone's going to get sick again.
Yep. It's normally when I get sick.
When you have those huge temperature drops,
Yeah.
But anyways, freaking welcome to Michigan.
So while you guys were off, did you guys find time to make your New Year's resolution, practice what you preach type thing?
The goals?
Yeah.
Dude, I was surrounded by 3 kids that had high-grade fevers.
You didn't have time to pencil them down?
No. not when I have kids that were not sleeping, even though Jess would be like, oh, yeah, like, you didn't sleep? You sure it wasn't just me? It's not true.
Right.
There was a few nights that I did step up. Not that I never stepped up, but I took I grabbed the freaking bull by its horns and said, you sleep, I'll take the monitor.
Right, yeah.
And thank God that our kids are loud when they're cranky because it still woke her up and helped me out.
She's like, well, I'm already up. I'll get it.
Yeah, well, our room's right next to Olivia and Savannah's room, and so they just, I don't know. So Olivia just got this nasty cough that just would never stop.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the monitor on, you got to,
Right.
in case the worst whatever happens, whatever that is. But then you sit there and all you hear is, like, how do you fall asleep? The whole time she's just sitting there coughing and yakking her
Right,
freaking brains
yeah.
out. Like, I can't sleep. I like pitch black and a white noise just.
Oh,
I need a fan.
I don't like white noise.
I need a fan. I need white noise. Give me something.
Nope. I need a TV on.
TV,
Yep.
little background noise,
Yep.
and then. Now, are you a fast sleeper or is it a gradual? See, Jess can be out in seconds.
I would say I'm
a gradual.
I'm a gradual.
Like, it takes me a little while,
Yeah.
and it's the same way waking up. Like, Jess can just wake up in the freaking first, boom, boom.
Yeah.
out.
Becca can have like 8-minute naps, whatever that is.
I wish.
But it takes me probably 20 minutes to fall asleep, and then I take a half-hour nap.
Yeah. And then it takes me just as long to fall asleep to wake up too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Takes me a while to get going again.
Oh,
On a
dude.
nap.
I don't take that many naps. I probably should try to take some midday little breathers. It seems like it screws me up more than anything.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
messes me up more than.
But my dad is like the napping king.
Take
And
a
I know
nap
he
and
listens to this.
Well refreshed.
And he'll laugh because growing up, it was like a routine.
Mm-hmm.
He'd come home from work. He'd have his Cheez-Its and his cup of coffee.
There you go.
And then he would go sit on the couch, out, watching NASCAR or something every day. Sleep for like 30 minutes, an hour, and he's ready to go.
I would say Cheez-Its and coffee.
Oh,
It's a different combination.
he loves it. He loves the pepper jack Cheez-Its
Okay,
or
yeah.
whatever the Jack one is. I know it's Jack something. Probably Jack Pepper or whatever the frick it's called, but that was his favorite. And I know I think he still eats that crap today. Hey, more power to him.
Yeah, right?
He knows he knows his ways and he sticks to it.
I guess as long as he's not floating them, right?
No.
Like dipping them like an Oreo.
No, he wasn't dipping them.
No.
It was just the
Was
combination.
it like a coffee cake?
Yeah, it was just Cheez-Its and coffee, man. But, so I don't know. Do you want to do the Airbnb or do you want to do the year in review? Right on this one. What are you feeling?
Whatever
What are
you
you feeling?
feeling.
What are you feeling? Come on.
You pick. I want you to pick.
All right, let's do the Airbnb.
Okay.
So I have been on this huge, thanks to some clients of mine who've got me just all wasting hours of mind space doing tons of research on Airbnb. So I figured just come on here and talk about it.
Right.
I think it's just, so our goal, I mean, Jess would say like, oh, really? We came up with this?
Right.
But she's getting on the bandwagon. Like I was telling Johnny before we were recording, I've got her more interested in doing this more than at the first conversation we had about it, because of finding vacation spots and getting a house in that area and Airbnb and out, and then you always in the future, whenever we want to go to that city or that area,
Right.
we just block out our own calendar.
Right. For non-rental.
Yeah, and we got our own place.
Right.
Which still makes money on all the other days that month that it's rented out.
Right.
I mean, it's a beautiful freaking idea. No, but we have these clients that are doing this, and they're wanting to buy multiple more homes in new areas this year because they've had some really good success and want to just grow off it.
Right.
Like I think a lot of people are doing because of it. So I pulled up a few articles here that some of the ones that I've been reading and I thought were really just good on touching base on, what are the pros and cons of Airbnb? Because there's always the cons,
Right.
right? Everything ain't
It's
just
not all roses.
roses and, glamour and, oh, this is easy money. As the famous quote goes, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
Even though it may seem that everyone's getting into it, maybe, it doesn't mean that everyone actually does it, and it probably doesn't do it successfully.
Right.
But also, like how to start at Airbnb, how to finance an Airbnb. We can, there's a couple of the talking points. And then just even like what's the pros and cons of short-term leases. So those are some of the topics that we'll discuss. But first starting with like pros and cons of an Airbnb as an investment strategy. So just some top takeaways. And so I'm not stealing the writing of this. This is written by Tim Leakme. When you can find these articles on thebalancemoney.com. Okay. So this is not my words. I'm taking this from articles. So the credit is given to who it is due. Okay. Thebalancemoney.com, written by Tim Limke, something like that. So here you go. So for those of you who don't know what an Airbnb is, for maybe there's some of you out there, Airbnb is a hosting site where it's a platform that you can list properties for rent. Now, the biggest difference between your typical rent that most people are probably used to is Airbnb is what's called short-term rental. So you can literally rent a room of a house, one room, a basement, a second floor. I mean, any part of your home that you could probably just put a bed in, you can rent it out, and probably with some access, to that room of some sort. Right. But they're short-term rentals, so you're looking at something that can be more of like a one-day rental, or someone could maybe even just say, hey, I want to block that out for a couple of months.
Right.
Whatever you want to do. But that's kind of just a little 411 on what an Airbnb is. If you are not familiar with Airbnb, I mean, if you've been living on the moon for the last 5 years, that would be you. But just some basic takeaway points that is discussed here right off the bat on Airbnb, pros and cons. So renting through Airbnb can be more lucrative than renting to a long-term tenant, depending on your location. Just some highlight points here. Your costs, though, may be higher if you rent through Airbnb, since you'll be expected to provide furnishing, keep the place clean, and paying you the utilities. So you are carrying some more higher expense costs with Airbnb. For those of you again who most don't know, typically on long-term rentals, lease agreements, the renter, the tenant is paying utilities, right? So it's their responsibility to get cover the cost, probably most likely water, heat, electric, and cable and internet. Where Airbnb, that's all on you, the owner.
Right.
You're providing all those amenities out of your pocket to them. So that's probably one big consideration. That you gotta kind of consider. If you even just take our bills, and I understandably so, I have 3 kids who the washer and dryer I don't think ever turn off at our house, and we still have really old ones. So I'm sure that's where a lot of our energy is just getting sucked right now. Mm-hmm. That really old electrical dryer, is. Let's just say DT's loving us.
Right.
Yeah, so we pay in this may say high, we pay $250 a month for freaking
electricity,
DT and consumers. It's crazy. I mean, it's a lot more than what we were paying in Livonia. But we bought a really old house, and we've done, we've been doing project by project, and we still are on really old appliances. Even the refrigerator, works like a champ and looks freaking great, but it's old.
Right.
It ain't no energy efficient. Right. So once we get those replaced, I'm sure we'll see a nice reduction in our monthly bills. But to give an idea, right, $250 plus cable and internet, we're paying $140 a month for cable and internet. That's $400 a month. Yeah. That, as an Airbnb owner, you got to incorporate into your expenses.
Right.
Whereas a long-term rental, the tenant's paying that. Yeah. So, which you're still paying taxes if you bought a house, right? So it's a little more higher in cost, but it's more lucrative. Right. So to me, it's a trade-off, right? It may take a while to start earning money from Airbnb. Like anything.
Makes sense. You just don't go in and all of a sudden killing it.
But what he's talking about here, too, which is a good point, is it mainly comes from your reputation as an owner. Airbnb, a big thing that I've learned I've done a lot of research in the last couple weeks here. Ratings determine a ton on Airbnb.
Okay.
Like when you become, I think it's called, now I'm drawing a blank, it's a super host.
Okay.
That's like your very first, okay, that's good. Like, you know how like everything has an algorithm nowadays, right? So Airbnb back end helps promote superhosts.
Okay.
And the only way you become a superhost is through a lot of 5-star ratings. So that equates from good experiences from people that are renting your house.
Right.
Your monthly income will likely vary more if you rent through Airbnb, which makes sense, right?
Renting it out for short periods versus 12 months.
Yeah. Well, there's no contracts
Right.
with Airbnb. It's very essentially the best way to look at it in a metaphor is, a long-term rental is like you work at a job with a salary. You know every single month what you're making as long as you do your job and you do it well and you keep it. You know what to expect. Airbnb is more like a car salesman, right? Or any kind of commission job.
Right.
You're only as good as what you sell, right? What do they say in sales? Like, well, you're only as good as your last sell. So go sell some more.
Right.
Which makes sense. You're doing short-term rentals. You may have a booking for one night, and whatever your nightly cost is, that's all you made. But here's kind of breaking down a little bit more of how it can be more lucrative than traditional renting. Kind of talked a little bit about that, but he uses, for an example, is Seattle. The average apartment rents, geez Louise, $2,200 a month.
Yeah.
Freaking A.
That's high.
At 100% interest.
I'm sure it's a very large apartment too.
It's kind of been my wording lately with dimbos in our market who want to think they're waiting out for the market to crash. And yes, I say dimbos. If you don't like it, then go find somebody else. But no, when you rent, how much interest are you paying? And like, well, none. It's not a loan. I said, no. How much interest are you paying? Interest. If I pay interest to someone, do I ever see that again? No. Okay, so your rent is 100% interest. It's gone. There's no principal in that.
No.
$2,200 a month for rent. Dude, what is that a year? 20 freaking...
I mean, that's
$27,000? $26,000?
Yeah. I mean,
Good Lord.
It's a lot of money.
All right.
And it's a tiny place.
In Seattle? Oh, I guarantee
I'm
it's
sure.
probably just a 800 square foot studio with one bedroom because it's in the open.
Yeah, sure it is. One bedroom. Yeah. They have a Murphy bed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you just said it right there. That represents $24,000 gross income if the tenant signed a 12-month lease. Yeah, what the frick was I? No, it's $26,000. 22 times 10 is 22.
2,200
times 2.
It's 26.
Yeah. He needs to do his math.
Maybe it was.
What, is he giving him a free month's rent?
Maybe.
To sign a lease? Is that what Seattle does?
That's how they're able to charge so much.
Yeah. So, all right. So there's a long-term an example. You sign a tenant for a 12-month lease, $2,200 a month, $26,000 gross income if a tenant signs that lease. So if you were to Airbnb, according to Vacation Home Rental Agency, which is AirDNA, I just signed up for them. It's a great service. I should probably have called them before the show and tried to get a little affiliate link we could have put in there for the show. The average daily rate for Airbnb rental in Seattle is about $157 a night, with an average occupancy rate of 77%. 7%, which if you do that against 30 days, you're roughly looking at like 22 days a month booked at 77. I'm just doing some roundabout numbers here. Let's just get concrete, right? Let's tell our clients exactly 23 days, 23.1 days on average per month. So if you were to rent out your Airbnb for $150 per night for a total of 270 nights per year, and I'm going to actually stop here.
Is this math right?
Yeah, is it not right on the next one too? Maybe check it. But I want to stop right here and say 77% occupancy rate is actually high, because I want to come at a more realistic number. So the data that I have found, and I just pulled these articles up just for more of talking points here, because I honestly did not put a talking notes today. So we're just kind of doing this off the cuff, but more so that I've been literally spending a lot of time reading this myself. I would, from my understanding, to be conservative, you should be more looking at a 60% occupancy rate. 77. Now, 77 may be correct in a more demanding area, right? Like a Seattle, maybe. That's a very high tourist draw. So and obviously that's who he's basing this off of, so that could be correct. But I just want to say to everyone out there, I would not run numbers at 77% if you were buying a house in Livonia. Okay, all we have is the Jack Kirk Ski Recreation Center.
There you go. Which is very nice.
Was this math correct, though?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So if you rent out, back to where we're at, $150 per night for 270 nights per year, it is possible to rake in $40,500 in gross revenue from the rental. That is $16,000 more dollars than you make than traditional renting. But you're also taking on more expenses. Right. So that's where you got to play your pros and cons. Because I think even from a larger scale, which I know he gets into a little bit here, is, the numbers sound good, but then what is the daily, weekly, monthly work input per house when it comes to one client compared to potentially 15, 20 a month?
Right.
That you're dealing with to get that extra income that he just mentioned. So, and that's kind of what he goes through in the next points. You get a diverse portfolio of tenants. With traditional renting, you're putting your eggs in a single basket. One tenant, one person for 12 months. There's kind of an ease to that thought.
Right.
Less money, but it is potentially easier.
It's consistent.
In ways. Dealing with 15 to 20 brand new people every month for the seeable future,
right,
is going to just create a little bit more work. I say that, but there are things you can put in place that can make the load easier to create a consistent experience, not only for yourself, but for your guests. So we kind of just talked about what he talks about, right? With an Airbnb rental, you are collecting income from different tenants on a regular basis. Each renter represents a very small percentage of your total income. So if any of them cancels at last minute or otherwise balks on paying, it may not have as much impact in even regards to the traditional renting, where he says, if they ever miss rent payments or simply vanish in the night, your income takes an immediate hit that's hard to replace because you were putting all your eggs in one basket. So that's kind of a good note to think about too. A lot of the hard thing too, I think he goes into talking about is, there's a lot of, as Airbnb and short-term rentals has become such a big thing. There's been a lot of changes in city ordinances. I think probably more than anything out there, HOAs,
Yep.
for subdivisions.
They don't want a bunch of random people coming in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, HOAs have always been stingy on rental, period.
Mm-hmm.
And short term has never been the question. It's always been, no subleasing, or even if they do allow a leasing out of an HOA condo association, or just even an HOA, condo association in a subdivision for homes. There's always like major restrictions, right? It's got to be minimum 12 months or minimum 6 months. Mm-hmm. So when you start doing Airbnb with just one night, you can run into some problems, and there's a lot of money in the line if you don't do that research ahead of time.
Right. Could you imagine get one and then go, oh, that's not allowed?
Well, so not to go off on a whole completely different tangent, in Airbnb, like one of the big crazes right now that there's people out there selling these, how-to ebooks to start Airbnbs with like no money, right? Is their trick is one of two ways. The most riskiest one is going and just renting an apartment and then Airbnb an apartment out in downtown areas. Which is huge and smart, right? Because what you do is you go approach the property manager and say, hey, you're currently asking for $1,100 for this apartment.
Right.
I'm going to give you $1,500. You're going to make more on this rent. Rent it to me. Some people are telling them this and some are just not, right?
Right.
And they're just going all in on the full risk.
Right.
And Airbnb on an apartment that cannot be subleased, right? And that's super risky because if the property manager or the association finds out or whatever it is, they could just say, hey, you have to stop.
Right.
And you just signed a year lease
and you're stuck
at $1,500 and you can't do it anymore, right? But that's what they're doing. Or they're saying
that seems gutsy.
Yeah. A little bit. I'm not going that route.
No.
I'm not that ballsy. But the other way you can do it with rentals is you find someone who's renting their house and just say, hey, same idea. You're asking $1,800 for your house. I'll give you $2,000. I'll give you $2,200. Let me Airbnb your house out. And we will, and then you put up agreement. Like there's one guy that I found, like you put a whole agreement together of, okay, I'm going to Airbnb it. I'm going to pay you more per month. So you're making way more money than you would.
Right.
And a lot of people come like, oh, but you're going to make way more money. No one's going to go for it. And you say, no. You sit them down and say, hey, this is what it's averagely going to work out for. But I'm going to deal with everything. I'm going to handle all the bookings. I'm going to handle all the cleaning. I'm going to handle, even you can make some agreement of repairs or anything like that, depending on what it is and what, if it's a huge issue, depending on if it's like a huge upgrade. Obviously, they're benefiting from any kind of huge repair because they own the house.
Right, yeah.
Right? So you do write a clause in there on that stuff, but you break it down and say, listen, I'm paying you more. Now you're making, say, $2,200 a month. Well, here's my numbers, and I'm paying you $2,200. And you show them, like, I'm not making more money than you are, but I'm doing all the legwork. So let me do it. And I'm simply fulfilling your rent want.
Right, yeah.
I'm signing your lease for you. We have no issues. It's a single family home. No one's going to come knocking on our door and say, hey, you can't do this.
Right.
There's no city ordinances that will stop us. But I'm going to do all the legwork. That's the one program this guy teaches a big time, and he's obviously
working.
It's supposedly. I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
It's just, I have yet to talk to the first landlord to see what their response is.
Right.
But I mean, I think I see where it's a win-win.
Well, yeah,
I'm paying you more.
I mean, you're just brokering out your rent.
Right.
That's all you're doing.
Right. But at the same time, it's a huge advantage for me Because now I have an Airbnb making money, and I don't even own the property. Right? Like, I didn't have to go buy a property. I didn't have to do closing costs, down payment, mortgage,
Right.
any of that. I'm not even paying taxes or homeowners insurance on it. Right? Like, it's all him.
Right.
But he's happy because he's making
getting-
more than
yeah.
what he was hoping to get in the first place.
Right.
And in this kind of downturn slowness, I'm sure any landlord would be like, frick yeah. I'm trying to get someone at freaking $1,500. You're going to pay me $2? Yeah. Let's do this.
Right.
So there's so many different ways to, obviously, like in anything in real estate, there's so many different ways to skin the cat, if you want to call it that way. But here's the thing, too, to think about it is when you're Airbnb, the expenses are a lot differently. And you got to think about it, right? Which we'll talk about in the next one, like when it comes to how to finance. Like, what does it honestly look like? Especially here in Michigan, you can only have one primary residence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be a secondary home. That changes stuff with mortgages.
Nope. Investment.
Yeah.
Or
So,
it could be debt service coverage ratio.
right.
But you have to have rent history for that.
Right. And that's one of the big things they talk about is, there are certain banks that see, obviously, this niche growing and have programs. But obviously, when there's a special program, what does that usually mean?
Rates are normally higher.
Yes.
Better credit scores.
Yeah.
More money down.
Mm-hmm.
Special.
Well, it all makes sense.
Right.
It's not your typical primary house loan.
Right.
But some of the expenses also to consider is if you are buying a house like we will, you're most likely buying a house that has no furniture. So that is a big upfront expense, and that was one of the things that I know Jeff and Christy talked a lot about was just like that's where a lot of the money, capital has to come from, right? Because not only getting the house, but you got to stage the house and fulfill it and finish it to captivate the clients, right? And there's obviously, because it's blown up so much, there's now companies that you can rent. But it's like, at the end of the day, you add it up over time. It's like, why don't you just take that bigger hit, have it, own it, and just manage it from that perspective. To me, you're adding more layers to your business of contacts and people you have to work with, right? You're just adding more, if you want to call maintenance, to it. But furniture, decor, appliances, amenities, some houses you may buy may have appliances. Some may have none. That alone is a couple freaking grand. But like it says, if you want to impress potential Airbnb tenants, you need to invest some cash to make sure the place looks and feels classy. Airbnb guests want to feel that they're staying in a high-end unit. And I did read on that a lot. Like, the more you can make the house look cozy, high-end, where someone who can just come right in and everything's there.
Right.
They have the most bookings and they have the most highest 5-star ratings, which means
makes sense.
They're going to get higher occupancy rate.
Right.
And in this gig, everything is occupancy rent. Great. You can charge $600 a month or a night, but your occupancy rate sucks. If you're not booking it, it don't mean nothing.
Right.
So there's that give and take too that you can just talk a whole discussion into, right? Because where's the sweet spot of your nightly rent compared to competitors, compared to your amenities, all that. It's all just like pricing a house to sell, right? What do they have, but what do we have? What do they don't have, but we have?
Absolutely.
Food. You don't need to cook for your Airbnb guests, so that's great. You're not a B&B.
Yeah.
You're not a bed and breakfast. You're not doing any of that. But keeping some basic food items in the refrigerator can go a long way towards keeping guests happy. Like may install, stocking fresh eggs, coffee. You better have coffee if I come to your house. Or alcoholic beverages.
That seems like that would be
asking for a little low.
That seems like a terrible idea. Yeah, family gonna.
Here you go. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the kids get drunk,
and now you're a liability.
Now you're in trouble.
Yeah. See,
That's a terrible idea. Why
It
would
is.
you put that in there?
That's a liability risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good writing, Tim. Some Airbnb hosts even make a point to bring out snacks at various times in the day. So you show up and say, "Hey, kiddies, you want some snacks?"
Hey, how's it going? Brought you some snacks. Some ham roll-ups. Do you want some chips and salsa?
Or you know, it'd be cool is if you bought an ice cream truck and you went to all of your Airbnbs in the neighborhood. Every day around 1 p.m., we will come by with ice cream truck. Compliments of the owners.
We stayed in one in Montana. I don't remember really talking to the lady, but it was kind of they lived upstairs and then we had the downstairs.
Yeah.
And
split the house.
I didn't really care for her to come bring me snacks.
You mean you wouldn't want
That's
her to
not
come
a
bring you
selling
some
point.
popcorn?
No, I
No.
don't think so. I was on vacation.
I would have not been mad at all if she brought me some popcorn.
You would have liked that they brought guacamole.
I would have been like, 5-star right now.
boom.
I'm writing it. We're not even over yet. Guacamole, yes.
Yeah.
And chips and salsa.
Yep. I've been all about it.
Dude.
And Nutter Butters.
Nutter Butters.
They have double Nutter Butters now.
Do they really?
I guess. Somebody told me about that yesterday.
Really?
I was like, what?
That is the essential hunting snack. Nutter butter.
Butter.
Oh, dude. Cannot go hunting without those. Cable, TV, Wi-Fi, and more. If you rent to a single tenant, usually responsible. It's their responsibility to hook up TV and Wi-Fi. Airbnb tenants, on the other hand, usually expect those things to be in place during their stay. So the cost of the technology and maintenance falls on you, the Airbnb owner. So I know we've talked about that a couple of times already. So, 6X. I am just stuttering over my words today.
You're so excited.
Yeah. Success may be gradual. Of course, you dummy. And I'm talking to you, not the writer. You got to work at it. And like I said before, Airbnb is all about ratings. Well, how do you get ratings? You book people over time.
Right.
And I believe, I should know this. I've read it probably way too much, but I think it's the first 10 5-star ratings is like the first unlocking in their algorithm. So you got to work hard to get those first 10. And I think I even remember one time we did it. We got an Airbnb in Grand Haven. It was fabulous. I mean, it was a real big house, super cheap. They just got started too, so they were doing the smart way. Just let's book, get good experiences, get our ratings we need, and then we'll freaking go up from there a little bit.
Well, how do I know that Devon ain't writing all 10 of your 5-star reviews on 10
Because
different
they all
emails?
have to be through Airbnb. It has to be verified guests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You couldn't even write your own rating.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah, because it's like a link that the guests get, and you can only encourage them. Like, hey, if your experience was great, leave us a review, please, because obviously it helps our business grow. Like I can't just send out a link to like, hey, Johnny and Devon, go write some 5-star reviews and help us grow. No, it can only come from people staying at your house or your Airbnb, wherever it is. Yeah, and income may be irregular, of course, because you're dealing with seasons. I mean, it's like Michigan, pure example. You go to Mackinac City in the middle of July, and those streets are just crowded with people.
Right.
You go to Mackinac City today, I guarantee you probably wouldn't even spot 10 people walking on the streets. So there's going to be a seasonality of rent, especially if you're very focused on, like, I think the route that we'll probably go, hitting those seasonal towns up, right? Kind of finding places in the places we like to go.
Right.
Having a spot
so you
there.
can use it.
Yeah, so we can use it. So you're going to have those ebbs and flows. So there's probably going to be months where, hey, you might have 100% occupancy rate, but then it's probably going to dip.
Right.
Who knows, even below 50. So like anything, you want to save for those rainy days. And if you are more focused in those seasonal cities, seasonal spots, then you're just going to have to be be smart with the planning of your seasonality. Knowing that, hey, maybe you're doing $10,000 a month during the summer, but you're only doing 2 during the winter. Spread it out.
Right.
Allocate it for those slower months. And then right here, this is I always love this. I just love numbers, and I like I said, I already put a small little plug-in for the Airbnb website that just is like all of your numbers. You can sign up. You can purchase a membership that just gives you access to a ton of data. But how do you decide where to set the price for an Airbnb rental? You got to really just see what the area is getting and how much they cost. See what the competition is doing. It's just like pricing a home, right? It's what is sold, what is selling, what is booking. The site AirDNA can tell you literally per home, like what is it could tell you their occupancy rate. It'll tell you their average, their high, their low. Like you can really even spot like what are they doing? Mm-hmm. Like how much are they dropping it on slow nights just to sell, weekends just to book it. And then where are they going during the more busier seasons? So it's just like, the same thing in real estate. You're always just comparing to what the homes locally are doing. Mm-hmm. And, you try to be competitive, right? Welcome to a free market. All right. They're selling at 157. Let's do 140. Let's take, I'm sure someone at 157 is looking for a bargain.
Right.
So my 140 is a bargain.
Right.
And I'm going to get that booking over them. And then you got to just watch it because maybe they're like, screw it. Let's beat them. Let's go 135.
Right. Make sure you're
and
not
a bargain
too
person's
high.
going to take that $5 difference. Mm-hmm. Now, a big thing that plays into it, just like everything else in real estate, is the amenities. How much nicer are we presenting ours? Mm-hmm. Is there a difference maker? Like, do we just look nicer than theirs? Then shoot, if they're at 155, I may do 154 and not give away a money because I don't really need to, but I also want the booking.
Right.
Right. So you just set your price accordingly.
Well, I imagine as time goes on, the more reviews you get, you don't have to worry so much about your price because you'll have so many 5-star reviews that people won't even look at. They just look at the experience.
Well, I remember
and your snacks.
I remember when we were looking for our honeymoon. Like, I don't know, we don't know that many people that have like gone to a zillion resorts, right? So it's like, what do? You look at the reviews, and sure, there's always going to be bad and good reviews, right? I mean, I think more people write bad reviews than they write good reviews. Typically,
they do. Yeah,
but it's like the reviews are everything,
which is sad because
knowing of that
people,
stat.
Knowing people,
well, only
half of it is probably their fault. They weren't doing something right.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And they blamed them for not. I mean,
well,
just some of the reviews you read. It's like, are you in? I mean, what do you think? What did you think it was going to do?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Is we just like mind readers and robots to tailor all your needs?
Like I know somebody that wrote Yeti a bad review because she took a bag of ice, a warm box of beer, and put it in there, and then she was upset that it wasn't ice cold. It was like that. I mean,
you're dumb.
I know.
You're not using the product accordingly, and then just putting the blame on it not freezing my beer.
Right? Yeah.
Like it's a refrigerating system.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's one example of millions of examples.
Consumer error.
Well, I mean, look at a cooler. They have a safety sign not to put a child in it and lock it.
Right.
There's only one reason they put that on there now.
It's because some idiots did it.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the bad part. I think when you read bad reviews, I think good reviews
you take it with a grain of salt.
But bad reviews, you do have to take it with a grain of salt.
You do, because to your just exact point, like
if there's multiple things that keep saying like it's dirty, it's dirty, it's dirty, it's dirty, then you can probably start thinking that it's dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. But when there's those random, like, and that's the thing too, is like, are the bad reviews consistent? Like you just said, like dirty, dirty, dirty. Okay,
Right.
yeah, then maybe it is a dirty spot.
Right.
But if they're just like all different, and then you're kind of reading in the lines of them, like, yeah, was this person just like a crazy
Right.
person
Yeah.
who just thought that because they rented a house for $200 a night, it's supposed to be like the Taj Mahal,
Right.
and 5 bottles of wine waiting for me, chilled and nice. So yeah, I mean that's 100% too. You got to just read them with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
With when the ratings come in, but I know when it comes to like setting your price, you know, there are cleaning fees and other charges that can be rolled into the rental price or charged separately. So I know there is a fluctuation. Some people may charge a higher rate and then they don't charge cleaning fees. And then if you go to the lower rate, which looks good, and then you're like, oh, but I'm paying a cleaning fee. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I have seen it even personally where that scenario came up and I like did, you know, like add the cart or whatever, what's the final expenses. And it was like the one that was advertised cheaper and then the one that was expensive. This one was actually overall cheaper than this one because this person over here had like
multiple fees.
Enormous cleaning fee and other fee. You know, I was like, well,
It's like
just
it's
going
like
to that
buying
one.
a house. Someone who's got a bunch of origination, processing,
Yeah.
underwriting fee, but they gave me a better rate.
You paid for it.
Yeah.
Do you see your closing costs?
Right.
Your closing costs are like 10 grand more than mine, dude.
Right.
So have fun with that rate. Your money's gone from your pocket.
Right.
What do you want? Money in your pocket or just some glorified rate that isn't stuck
Right.
forever? Yeah, we won't go on that tangent, right?
Right. But no, I mean, I think that's something that you definitely have to look out for.
Yeah, no.
And that goes with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nowadays when you see a bill, I mean, there's a fee, this fee, that fee. I mean, they say $35 a month for your phone, and then you look at your bill and
Fee.
fees and
Taxes, government fees. They label it all. And it's like, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
fine print.
Yeah. And then, so for those of you who are interested, how much does Airbnb take from your earnings? Under a split fee structure, Airbnb takes 3% of your earnings and also charges an additional fee to the customers. You can also choose to pay between 14 and 60% of your earnings to allow your customers to rent without paying service fees. These fees may vary on location and rental type. Yeah, so again, it's that trade-off, right? Like, you just gotta, like, for me, I'm a big, like, Excel break down the numbers. Mm-hmm. And I think I will tend to lean towards quality over quantity. I mean, no, I'm sorry, that like quantity over quality a little bit on the numbers' sake.
Mm-hmm.
Where if I do certain things that get me more bookings, and as long as the numbers make sense, as long as my profit makes sense, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I started years ago, when I was in the golf business, I started a little online store, just a little drop ship thing, which I still actually even have today a little bit. I always undercutted everybody. One, because I did it from a computer in my house.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it absolutely cost me just my time to do it. So, like when all of the big like Carl's Golfland, Rock Bottom Golf, when everybody was, starting to sell online and it was like a thing.
Right.
They always had like a $3.99, like under $100 shipping fee or under $50 shipping
right.
fee. No matter what I sold, I was always free shipping. So I ate the shipping costs. Mm-hmm. But I was still profiting at like 15%.
Right.
And for just some freaking 24-year-old kid doing it out of his house, I didn't care. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was like freaking top of the world. But it was that competitive edge, and that's how I was. I honestly know it because I remember even on my Wilson rep. He's my rep for Wilson Golf. He even said it. Like, he told me like 2 times. He would go meet with Carlos Goffland, and they'd be like, You're servicing Seguin, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, the kid's freaking, like, not that I don't think I was indirect affecting them. I mean, dude, they sold way more than I have, and they have all of the big names. I can never even touch the big names because I'm just freaking out of my house.
Right.
They want a green grass root store. They want you to have a opening $50,000 inventory purchase. I'm like, no.
Right.
No, I'm just trying to drop ship here.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But they obviously noticed me
Right.
undercutting their free shipping. And I mean, that's just where in regards to this, because I did read into this where you can do the 3%, but then your clients get charged a fee. And I even like, what the frick?
Right.
Like, why am I getting charged a fee when they should be charging the frickin', the person making all the money, But then I did read into it on Airbnb site where you can choose to take, if you want to call it the higher road, and have them charge you the full fee, and then the client's like, oh, there's no fee.
Right.
I don't know. I just see it from a way of like, if I give up a little now, in the long run, am I going to get more consistent bookings? Mm-hmm. Right? Because the long-term game with Airbnbs is that if you become a place, like before Airbnb, when people came to town to visit family or friends, they booked the same hotel, right? Because they knew the bed was clean,
right?
The sheets were good, the location was where we wanted, and it was convenient. Well, that's now what Airbnb is, and that's where people are trying to tell, like, hey, you are now essentially a hotel, so you can grow a book of clientels that when they know they're coming into Metro Detroit,
right?
I'm booking Paul's house over there on 123 Main Street every single time. And that's where you build that consistency. And so I just see it like, well, if I give a little more now than everybody else is, because I guarantee you, I'm sure there's not a lot of Airbnb owners willing to give up 14 to 16% of your earnings to know that the client isn't getting charged either.
Right, yeah.
And I might be crazy and stupid because that's a lot of money. It could be. I mean, if you're booked 100% at $500 a night, that's $15,000. You're giving them what, over $2,000 in fees? But
maybe starting out, he charges the fees. Can you switch it?
Yeah, I think you always can. Yeah. So, but that's me.
Who knows?
That's not you. It's my opinion, not yours. Yeah. But here's interesting. Let's get into the nitty and gritty. I know we're going far into this already, and we'll sum it up here, and we'll try to pull some knowledge out of Devon before we close it up.
Oh.
How would I go about buying an Airbnb? So Airbnb loans and other financing options, like we talked a little bit earlier in the show, in the state of Michigan, you can only have one primary residence. So if you already own a house, you could switch. You could essentially resend your primary residence.
You can.
And move it to another house. But then if you still own it, that now becomes a non-homestead, and your taxes go up.
Correct.
A lot.
Correct.
So you just have to play that game. Honestly, who knows? It could actually be an advantage to you somewhere, one way or another, if you just look at the taxes for whatever you're buying.
Right.
It just depends. But obviously, knowing that you're most likely probably going to be buying this house as an Airbnb, which is an investment property. So that changes a lot when it comes to a mortgage. It is now looked at as more of a riskier investment for the investors.
Correct.
To back your mortgage.
More money down. Gifts aren't available.
You mean I can't receive money to go buy an income property?
Better credit scores are important for your rates.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we've talked about it, buying investment properties. I mean,
Right.
Whether you put 15% down or you put 25% down, I mean, you got to look at what you're potentially going to make.
Right.
To see if MI would be a reasonable thing to have or if it wouldn't be, kind of where you're at. But like they have the DSCR programs too, where income, you don't even need income. It's all on with your rent schedule
rent, yeah,
is for that property.
Which, if you're going the Airbnb route, can be probably a lot harder to forecast.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's investment property.
Right.
So the rent schedule is the rent schedule, which you think you could get.
Yeah.
Per month for it.
I've just read in a few times that some of the lenders have hard times buying Airbnb rent schedules because it's so variable. Where like an old school investment rent schedule off of a 1 year, one attendant typical rate, like they can just base it. Right, because you could essentially go with your rent schedule as well. I'm going to rent it out for $1,500 for 12 months.
Right.
There's my $26,000. Well, not that's wrong math, but I was going back to the article where like because Airbnbs are so seasonal, right? Like you have hot and good months, and you can just say, "Well, here I'm anticipating this." I was just like I've seen some people say that they've had hard times convincing lenders to buy their anticipated rent schedule. For whatever reason, whether it's the underwriters coming back and saying, no, I'm not buying that amount for that city, right? And it's like, well, here's the data. Like, no, this is what we'll take.
Okay.
Kind of thing. They'll cut it based upon whether that's happening more now than...
different.
Yeah,
I guess,
I know.
Every
right.
company's different. So
But I do feel like because it's coming so big and so consistent in a matter of an form of investment with its popularity.
Right. Well, I mean, cryptocurrency, when it first came out, you couldn't even use it.
No.
Things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can.
Yeah. And like Bitcoin, there's ATMs now.
Right.
And you see a lot of people still just hit myself with my microphone. It's like accepting Bitcoins. I think, who was it? Was it Elon Musk or someone even said, no, I'll still take Bitcoin, when it seems like, the Bitcoin fade has faded off a little bit recently with it just tanking recently. But, things change. Or even like the freaking cannabis industry, right? Before it all got recreational everywhere, banks are like, I ain't touching that money. No way. Nope. Yep. But now it's like my bank, community choice, right on their freaking right on their website is like,
we do marijuana.
Yeah. It's like it straight up says most trusted, most marijuana accounts in the state. Now they're just advertising like, bring your marijuana money,
right.
Let's go.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was just going on that story, but we'll not do that because we'll cut this one here. But yeah, so one other option too, which I know you guys don't do home equity loans, right?
Correct.
Not to steer anybody away from you, brother. But another option that has been very popular amongst people is, a lot of us nowadays are sitting on some pretty solid equity still.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
maybe you should talk to Gold Star and say, why the frick are we not offering, home equity loans?
I have a home equity guy. Some people.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, then you do.
Yeah.
Call Devon still to get his home equity guy.
Yeah.
Because we're all sitting on probably some serious home equity amount. So what you could do is you could talk to a home equity person, figure out what realistically that amount is, take that money out, and then go back to Devon with that money and start buying your first Airbnb. You're covering your down payment.
Right.
You're covering your furniture with that money, and you just start bankrolling. Get that thing listed and start making money. You know, depending on how much equity you pull out, maybe you could go find 2 or 3 potential homes. So, I mean, that's an option just to get using the money that you've already put into real estate to start buying more real estate.
Goes back to your principal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your savings account that you never look at.
And the beautiful thing is you're having somebody else pay for your mortgage on those homes.
Right.
And the cool thing is, too, is which I kind of like about it, and what's kind of to me and Jess, because she is sharing excitement for it, is like, you're not, like, it is also exciting to not say that you're helping someone have a house when you do a long-term rental. But it's like a lot of the times you're renting these houses out for, like, vacations.
Right.
Like, it's really fun times. So, like, that's the part where Jess is like, oh, I could get really into, like, decorating these houses or just, filling them with fun things.
Right.
Because that's typically in, I think, the areas that we would really look for is what they're going to be doing anyways.
It's for fun vacations.
Yeah. So you kind of have that, you're kind of playing a part in that fun vacation.
Right.
So then it kind of gets you really like, oh, so we could do this or do that, but then, which then also adds just to the more money you could potentially make if you're just offering more than what your neighbor is. And I don't know, it's endless, right? I mean, it's just like, it's endless with real estate, period, if it's Airbnb or not. The opportunity for investment and asset growth through real estate is always there, even if you're buying your own house.
Right.
So to send off for the first episode that we've recorded in 2023, if you're looking and wanting to invest in real estate, there you go. Check out Airbnb. Call Devon and I if you want to just talk more. I've done a ton of research. Devon knows obviously everything about the financing side and all that. You've had a rental yourself.
I've had a rental.
Yeah. So we're here to help. If you got questions, we obviously would love to come beside you in that journey. I'm getting excited for it. So if you even maybe want to come along and learn and fail with me, let's go. Because it's going to happen, people. The road of success is not just a straight line up. It's a bloop, 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 bloop. But the whole part is always going upwards with its peaks and valleys.
Right.
So let's go along for the ride. Because life is a dang roller coaster, and Johnny, you just got to get on it.
True dat.
Okay?
Word
to your mother. And just like how we started the show off, you just got to keep showing up. You got to keep showing up, man. And we're here. We're showing up for you. And if you're thinking of not just investing, maybe you're thinking of that 2023 is the year that you want to stop renting, even in the midst of high interest rates and inflation. And you're like, you know what? Is it a good time? Yes, it's a good time. Because everybody's situation's different. And it only begins with a conversation. That's all it is. I'm not trying to tell you that you have to go buy. I may tell you it's not the right time. Devon may tell you it's not the right time. And maybe there's some things on your credit. Maybe there's some income issues that you have that, guess what, you didn't know about, but when a simple phone call, a conversation can tell you and give you all of the things you need to know to make a plan. And maybe 2023 is the year. Maybe it's not right now, but maybe it's in the summer. Maybe it's in the fall.
Maybe it's the right time now, but you wait a month after you do one little thing, then it's a great time.
It's even better.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of...
That's what it's about. It's not about, oh, I can get you approved and into this house or into a house. It's
any bank's going to do that.
If we do this in a month, you're in a lot better situation to better yourself on that first property or on that second property or whatever it may be.
Right. Yeah. So, and it all starts with a conversation.
Right. Options.
Yeah. You don't know until you know.
Right.
I won't say the next word. Who was that? Was that Biggie? Or was that Tupac who said that? You don't know till you know. It was Biggie, wasn't it? Was it Biggie or was it Tupac? I don't know.
Guess I don't know.
Both,
I don't know. But I say that the least because I just feel like 2023 is going to be a great year. 2022 honestly just sucked.
It was an off year.
It was not a.
It was an off year.
It just with the market and all the volatility and interest rates and inflation, just was crappy.
Starting the new year off strong.
And just like the Chinese tradition, you open that front door, you let all 22 go out.
Right.
It's gone. And we're going to ring in the new year with just new opportunities, with a game plan, like we talked about last couple of shows ago, goals, setting those goals,
Yep.
making it happen, putting the work in. Because, guys, if it's easy, everybody be doing it. Everybody be doing it. And it takes just some work. At the end of the day, I don't know about you, but I mean, the things that I've worked my butt off for are the things that I appreciate more and the most.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like, I work every day with my kids. I love them, but I hate them at the same time. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. No. You can say it. It's true.
I love you guys. Just kidding. As my brother-in-law has told me in the very beginning, it is the hardest job you will ever love. Parenting.
I believe that.
That is the truest statement more than it's the hardest job you will ever love and never stop loving.
Yep.
But it's the hardest. It is. Anyways, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Cheers. Blessings and prosperity to all y'all in 2023. To you too, is Devon and Becca
You too.
and Mac
Family.
and Yeti.
Well,
And
shoot.
soon to be.
And hopefully.
What do you have a name
We don't
yet
have
for
a
your
name.
new
We don't
dog?
have a
You don't have a new name yet?
No.
All right. Stay in tune. We're keeping us all
Next
hooked
time,
here.
Lions in the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully so. Sunday Night Football. This will drop afterwards, so we'll know.
That's what I'm saying.
Then.
Lions in the playoffs.
Yeah. So we need to win, obviously.
We need to win, and Seattle needs to lose
Right.
against the Rams.
And I heard that Stafford's cleared to play, and he's begging to play. And did you hear that?
I didn't hear that, but I saw like a little thing a headline where he said something about like he'd do anything.
He made a comment
to get
that
Detroit
he's
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I doubt that. Why would you play him? You're not going to make it. So why?
I
Why
know.
would you give him more rest time?
Everybody at 97.1 Ticket was talking about this. It's like, okay, well, I mean, and it is frustrating actually that they moved us to Sunday Night Football because
Well,
now
yeah,
we
'cause
know.
Yeah.
So even if Seattle wins, that is
But still, we need to win to just,
solidify the year.
well,
And you don't just roll over either.
you don't want Aaron Rodgers to
Trash
beat
talk us.
you so he can go.
Well, dude, he's already been trash talking
I
to us
know.
since like a couple weeks ago.
I know.
Saying these little comments. Or I remember a couple weeks ago, the week we won to go to 500.
Where he's
And
like,
then
yeah,
someone-
well, one team's 5.
Yeah!
Yep.
Freaking Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. He's very good.
He's a friggin'
But I don't-
grandpa
he's not
in
my
NFL.
favorite.
No. It'd be nice to go to that game. That'd be fun.
It's not supposed to be super cold. 34.
Which I don't think the Lions play well in the cold.
They don't.
Nope.
It doesn't seem like they do.
I mean, shoot, they couldn't even play well in 52 degrees in California or with Carolina.
I thought it was colder than that. I thought it was cold.
Was it
Yeah, I think it was colder.
cold in the 50s?
Yeah, it was the coldest game ever played in
Yeah.
South Carolina in their stadium,
Really?
and it was in the wind chills and all that. I think it was like down to 20.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was it supposed to be in Green Bay Sunday night?
34 high, 24 low, something like that. So it's gonna be cold.
Is there any snow yet, or is it?
I didn't see snow.
No.
I didn't see snow. I looked yesterday. Subject to change.
Do they have a running game, Packers?
I don't know. I haven't been watching them much.
I haven't watched them at all.
I know they're doing better than last time.
Of course they would be doing better, right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers talking trash. We need to win.
They need to win.
Yeah. So if they, but what is their scenario?
I think they just have to win.
If they win, they're in.
If they win, they're in. But I did hear, I think if Seattle loses,
Well, if Seattle loses,
there's a tie, too. Lions could tie.
yeah. Well, the Lions lost to Seattle early in the year.
Right.
So if Seattle wins, they'll be in over the Lions.
Yeah.
Green Bay has a win over Seattle. So if Seattle wins and Green Bay wins, Green Bay will have the same record, but they beat Seattle.
Right.
Green Bay will go.
But
And Seattle won't?
But there's
Right.
one where
Really?
I think it's if Seattle loses and the Lions tie, then we go in.
Really?
Yep. 'Cause they said that on the ticket last night.
Because there is a chance they could tie.
They could tie.
They
So,
could.
like, if they were in overtime and Lions were like 3 seconds left with the ball, should I kick this 50-yard field goal or should I just take a knee and just end with a tie?
We would still go.
Well, how would that be? Because your tie doesn't trump a win, right? You have a tie, and Seattle would have a win, right? So they'd go to 9
Well,
wins.
I said that Seattle would have to lose.
Oh,
Still,
all right, okay.
But we would just have to tie Green Bay.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that would work too. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very.
But you know what? I still don't like the fact that they moved us. I mean,
I don't
get,
like it.
No,
I don't
because
like it.
I wish it was the same time
It should be.
where you could be watching Seattle Rams and Lions freaking Green Bay at the same
should.
time. And then it's just this heated battle.
Right.
Because every single team at the same time is just playing their hearts out for this freaking win.
Right.
But now the fact that Seattle's still playing their normal time and we get bumped to the night, well, now they know what, well,
I already know.
or there's nothing for us to do.
Yep.
But it's big pandering to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
They're the only ones that didn't get affected. Seattle is even
Right.
affected.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just have to win.
Seattle and Lions are both affected by the change, not Green Bay. It's a joke. You say that, and you could say that the NFL doesn't cater. Bull crap.
Yeah.
It's all about freaking money and showtime and who they want to see in the playoffs. Well, who's going to make us the most money? Huh? Is Green Bay or Detroit? Yeah. Freaking idiots. Anyways. All right. Well, hey, Happy New Year. Airbnb. Give us a call. I'm Paul Seguin, EXP Realty.
I'm Devin Carr. What's up?
It's Carr and Seguin Show. See you.
The primary purpose of this podcast series is to inform, entertain, and educate. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast series do not constitute legal or professional advice, opinions, or endorsements of any kind. Gold Star Mortgage Financial Group, NMLS 3446, Equal Housing Lender.